people were passengers of an overnight ferry that sank in British Columbia's Inside Passage. They were torn from their sleep and thrown into a living nightmare.
It was like 12:30. We heard a crashing noise, and the ship went to one side, and then it was a louder crash.
The Queen of the North, an aging 125-meter-long vessel, hit a rock near Gill Island. The impact, hard enough to jeopardize the ferry's stability and put about 100 people on board at risk.
When I looked down, everything was all over the floor, and then we heard the alarm go.
Yeah.
So we jumped out of bed and got out.
That time the boat was starting to list to the right side, and so we went to the left side and started getting into the lifeboats.
Despite the danger, all on board remained calm, working together to get to safety.
All of a sudden, all the lights went out on the boat, and somebody yelled out, says, "Somebody put a spotlight on it." And at that time, the nose of the boat was sticking straight up in the air, and then it just went straight down and disappeared.
A large oil slick, scraps of debris. The Queen of the North is now completely submerged. But before she went down, her mayday calls were heard by BC's Coast Guard and residents of nearby Hartley Bay.
We heard on the radio, just about every house here in the community has a VHF. And I was already in bed. And I told the wife, I'm going out. I said, I'm taking my boat out. Says, there's people out there that need help.
2 gill netters and 4 speedboats rushed to help, plucking passengers from lifeboats, taking them to the local community center.
They had wet clothes. We had clothes ready for them, food and hot coffee, of course, and just a sympathetic ear and a hug.
Early this morning, medevac helicopters airlifted those with minor injuries. The rest boarded a Coast Guard vessel destined for Prince Rupert. To help people cope with the ordeal, the provincial government has dispatched trauma teams.
This must be an incredibly traumatic event to go through. We've all gone through something, but imagine trying to go to sleep tonight for those folks. So we'll have trauma counseling, we have social support services up there.
Also en route, an 8-member team from the Transportation Safety Board. Already questions are circulating as to why the Queen of the North, a ship slated for retirement by the end of 2009, went down. So far, BC Ferries is already deflecting blame.
They wouldn't let us sail a ship if they didn't feel it was seaworthy. This isn't a question of whether it was seaworthy. This is a question of it was, for whatever reason, off course.
The cause of the sinking is not known, but already the RCMP say they'll team up with the Transportation Safety Board to find out exactly what went wrong. And BC's Premier has personally promised a full and thorough investigation into the accident. Melanie Nagy, CBC News, Vancouver.